So I've started recording the session, and I hope you have gone through uh, the lecture videos. So if you have any queries, you can raise your hand. So these lecture videos were regarding the number systems, and uh, so the number systems and conversions I think is already covered. So these lecture videos are on the arithmetic operations, right? This fix. So if there is any confusion or anything you have not understood in those videos regarding the arithmetic operations and how we actually extend it for a general number system, about the borrows and the carries, how exactly they are functioning. If some hand is getting raised, maybe. Yeah, Saksham.
Sir, in addition slides, in starting you said like we sum any numbers in sum in any number system. What we do basically, we sum two numbers, sum two values, and then convert it into that number system. Like we have two or three, we'll sum those values and then convert it into that system in which we are adding. And
Yeah,
then if we want to add third number, we will add to its equivalent of two additions.
add to
But
the equivalent of two additions means what do you mean to say?
like if you have three numbers to add, so
Hmm.
what procedure you said that first we'll add two numbers and what
Hmm.
we'll get the answer,
Hmm.
then we'll add third number to that. We can't add directly three numbers if we go by that basic algorithm, not by that clock method.
Okay.
But in
Yeah.
binary system,
In binary system also, when you are adding, yeah, you complete your question.
till last you were not using a clock method. Like for explaining, you was using the simple method that you are not adding the third number to that equivalent. You are simply adding three numbers directly. So why that algorithm works there?
No, actually, I was not adding three numbers directly. It seemed so. But when I was, suppose I am adding 1 plus 1 plus 1. Okay. So there I am actually adding the values. So yeah, what you mean to say that the addition, adding the values and then finally converting into numbers, that is the actual process of addition. So you have to add the values and see what is the accumulating value coming in. So if you add 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, you are getting 4, but then you will have the problem of representing 4 in the binary number system. Value you have already accumulated. Now the problem is to represent the this value in the appropriate number system. So this way any addition algorithm will work this way. So if you have several numbers or several values also given to you, then also it works in the same manner. So if I had said, as you were saying, if I had said that one has to add only two values, get the number, and then add the third value to it, I don't really remember where I have mentioned this, but one can actually go on adding the different digits. So you will be given some digits in the number system. So those digits are basically the values also. You can keep going on adding those values, and finally whatever accumulating quantity you are getting, total quantity, now that value you have to convert to the appropriate number system. And then when you are doing the conversion, you will get a certain digit to be placed at that position, and you will get some carry to be carried forward. Like that it will happen. The same thing is happening when you are doing it in the digit clock also. So the counting is actually the counting of values is happening when you are counting in the digit clock. Then you are actually accumulating the total value. So you are counting up to the total value, and then you are seeing how many times you have crossed the zero and how many times and where you are landing. That would directly give you the representation. So you don't have to calculate back in your mind. That is the usefulness of the digit clock. Is there does it answer your question, Saksham?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So if I had mentioned it that what you are saying, so that is not actually very accurate. So you can actually go on and add up the values, and at the end of it you can finally see what is the total value getting accumulated, and then you can convert it to the number.
Okay, sir.
One can handle multiple values or multiple numbers at the same time in this method. However, in your multiplication, then or in subtraction, we usually work with only two numbers. And if we have three numbers to do, then we work with two numbers, get the result, and then we again do the same operation on the third number. There is a chat question here. If we submit class notes under the assignment section, do we need to add it? No, you don't need to add it to the class notebook as well. So in the very beginning I was thinking that we would use the class notebook, but it seems that we can carry on the work without using the class notebook. The assignment section is good enough, and we can actually open it from the assignment section, view it there itself. So, and your name and everything is also associated with the submission. So it is we can actually do the grading or marking based on what you are submitting in the assignment section. So we would be looking into the assignment section only. Okay, so you should submit, you should upload your submissions in the assignment section only. So take care of that. And since we are talking about assignments, etc., so like this week, because there it was new thing for all of us, so some of you have submitted yesterday instead of Sunday. So that I am considering for this week. I will not give any penalty for submissions till yesterday. So someone who is submitting today will be considered as late submission. But I think that most of you, say one or two people, have already submitted by yesterday. So from this week onwards, please pay attention. I will not have the consideration like this week. So you need to submit by Sunday midnight. Okay, so you take it like you keep it in mind. And this week you don't have only quizzes but also your class note and tutorials, I guess. So in those actually you upload your copy, and then you will see a turn in button at the very top right. Okay, at the very top right you will see a turn in button. So you should turn in there. So that button, when you click it, your assignment becomes turned in. Okay, so you click it within time. If any one of you have forgotten to click that turn in button, then you leave it, because we also understand that some of you can forget to turn in. But even if you have forgotten to turn in but have already uploaded within time, we would be able to see it. Okay, we would be able to see it. So we would be doing a check on Monday morning. Whoever has uh, whoever has um, done the upload, etc., those people will be marked separately. Like we will have a tagging for them that they have submitted in time. So we have an Excel sheet with us in which we are maintaining this record for every tutorial and every assignment. We are maintaining this record that who is submitting within time or not. So that we will do even for those who have forgotten to click the turn in button. So if you have forgotten to click the turn in button, don't come back on Tuesday or Monday evening and press the turn in. You don't need to do that. We are actually checking whoever with everyone, we are checking if they have uploaded or not. Okay, so we are not just looking into those people only who have turned in. We are looking at every one of you, irrespective of whether you have pressed the turn in button or not. But it is a good practice to press the turn in button. Okay, that shows that you are careful while uploading the assignment. So that is what I would like to say regarding the class notes and assignments. Anything regarding the lecture videos, the topics covered? So if I give you any two numbers, will you be able to do addition, multiplication, subtraction, division with those two numbers? Are you confident enough? Did you practice with some other numbers as well? Not only those which was looking into the lecture videos. I hope you have done some pen and paper practice. That is important. So do a few pen and paper practice. It is not very difficult, quite simple. And this week tutorial will also be uploaded, which you have to submit. I guess the tutorial, one tutorial which is uploaded now, that is having the deadline of next this week, this Sunday. That is based on the number systems in general, about conversion between different number systems and so on. Okay, so I will again request you to raise your hands if you have any doubt or any confusion, or send me a chat here as well as in personal chat. Anything you want to discuss, anything regarding number systems you want to discuss, or anything regarding in general you want to discuss. Okay, so it seems that no one has any further doubts or anything. So what to do? So yeah, regarding that, what we are discussing something regarding our breathing rates and all. So have you looked into that carefully, and you have any comments on that? Anyone has any comments on breathing rates? Did I also ask you to like notice or calculate what is your own breathing rate? Did I actually ask you to do that? Can anyone make me remember? Yeah, you are all in these live sessions, so you don't remember whether I have asked you to actually look into your breathing rates or not? किसी को याद नहीं है? So you can do this. If I have not told you, actually you can do this exercise on yourself, and this is actually fun. If you like keep on doing this every week, you can sit and check how long you take. Maybe you can count your breaths, maybe you can count how long you take to take 10 breaths perhaps, or 5 breaths, or 10 breaths. You can count 10 breaths, how long you take to complete 10 breathings, inhalation and exhalation completed. Yeah, Aman is saying slower the breathing, longer. This I had told you. So you need to check how slow you are breathing. It is not just related to lifespan. How you actually how the lifespan is lengthened, that you should actually try to think about. So every cause has an effect, but it goes through some process in order to bring that effect. So lifespan is increased because our health becomes better, right? That's why, like a normal person, like like someone can obviously die if there is a accident or something like that happening. Accidental deaths we are not considering. We are considering normal usual death which happens at a certain age. So that can be extended, so that lifespan can be extended. That lifespan can get only extended if you are living a healthy life. So otherwise there is also no point in extending a life which is unhealthy, and which is very like you are in a lot of suffering and pain. Then the extension of the life will become rather a like a curse uh, than a blessing. Okay, you if only you have a healthy life, then there is some meaning to extend it. Otherwise it will become a curse actually. So when you breathe slowly, then actually it has a lot of beneficial effect on your health. So your health improves, and that's the reason why you can actually live a longer life. Your lifespan also improves. So now you have to actually first thing that what you can actually all of you check is how long you take to maybe complete 10 breaths. So you count yourself, and you can do this counting by sitting down quietly at any time of the day, and you will see that your time also varies throughout the day. So suppose you are fixing this 10 breaths cycle. So maybe in the very morning when you have woken up, and then you can do this, and you will see that you are spending a certain duration of time to complete 10 breaths. After breakfast, you will see that this duration would probably become shorter. So you will see that after meals, after eating, this this length of 10 breathing cycles would get shorter, because we need more. The metabolism rate increases, right? When we are eating, after eating, metabolism rate increases. And what is metabolism? It is conversion of the food into energy, and there the oxygen is required in order to do that. So our body needs more oxygen that time, so automatically our breathing rate would become faster. But what breathing rate I am talking about is the usual breathing rate when you have your stomach is more or less empty, like after 2 hours of any meal, 2 hours or 3 hours. We are usually taking around three meals a day, and maybe once a snacks. So it's almost like if you have 24 hours duration and you consider 8 hours of sleep, so it is 16 hours, and every 4 hour you are eating. So after eating, there is a and after eating after 2 hours of eating, there is a gap of 2 hours where you are actually performing in a balanced state, where your energy is not getting expended into metabolism. So metabolism takes a lot of energy basically. So those 2 hours after your eating, so from the after 2 hours of your eating, you are in a state where you can your energy is totally invested into running your body as well as your action, your thought process, your decision making, all these things. So so you can see at that time how fast you are breathing. So that is the breathing rate that you should consider as your usual breathing rate, normal breathing rate, and you see what is that breathing rate, and you also try to slow down that breathing rate, and you can actually do that. You can actually slow down your breathing rate by at least 2 or 3 counts per minute. If you can actually do that in a month, even that would be a great benefit for your total health. Aditya is saying something. Sir, could you explain the significance of zero as in lecture 1a? So I have explained a lot of significance of zero as in lecture 1a. 1a में क्या हुआ था? 1a में we were talking about the positional number system, I believe, and how zero comes into picture there. So if you remember, I had talked about what is happening in the positional number system is the entire set of numbers. Yeah, we move from lower to higher orders. So the entire set of values are getting divided into different sets, like 0 to r minus 1, then r to r square minus 1, then r square to r cube minus 1. So in this way we are actually able to divide the entire range of values into these smaller regions, and every set that we go across, we only have to increase a position of the digit. So when you are how you are able to do that? So that is the question. That was a question, how you are able to do that. So you notice that when you have reached till r minus 1, you are in the 0th position. When you are going from 0 1 and dot 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 to r minus 1, suppose we are dealing with octal number system, so 0 to 7 you have gone. Now you have to represent 8. So when you have to represent 8, then you don't you can't put any digit in the 0th position. You are putting a 1 in the position 1. So 1 put in the position 1 would give you 1 into 8 to the power of 1 plus 0. So where from this 0 is coming? So if you did not have the idea of 0, suppose there is no concept of 0, suppose there is no concept of 0, then you could not actually shift from one position to another. Okay, now you are able to shift from one position to the next position and make this initial position totally 0, because you are multiplying with the number 0 there. So that's why any contribution of the lower order is vanished when you are moving to the higher order. Now once you have moved to the higher order, you want to have contribution of the lower order added to it, further going on, like after 8 you have 9, so you will write 1 1. But when you are going from 7 to 8, that is the important position, that is the important place. If you are not able to, if you are not having the idea of 0, then after 7 you have to write something on that position only, which would represent 8. But now since we have the power of 0, we can shift the position, we can go to the next position, write a 1 there, and in the present position write a 0. That means the contribution of the present position vanishes now. So this vanishing aspect of 0, this idea that we have a number with which we can vanish something. That idea is the significance of 0 in the number systems. So like that, actually we can say that as we move from one position to another, that movement was enabled by putting 0 in the lower order positions. So there was a transition happening. When we are transitioning from one position to the higher position, immediately the concept of 0 comes in. Immediately the concept of 0 comes in. Then you add some number in the lower position also, which adds up to make the total value. That is fine. But what enabled you to move from the lower order to the higher order was the idea of 0. You used the idea of 0. You put the 0 in the lower order, then you move to the higher order. You are doing that at every change, at every movement in the higher order. You are actually doing this. So you are putting a 0 and then you are moving ahead. Okay, so Aditya is saying got it. So probably this explanation was okay, and so that's why I also told you that 0, though we are not really actually using it, we are not even bothered about any quantity which is 0. So if there is a quantity 0, we simply ignore that. But this 0, the contribution of 0 is there in building all the different numbers. So as we go ahead in the values, as we increase our values, the contribution of 0 is there at every stage. So it is there hidden behind actually. It is in a it is subtle. Its presence is subtle. You have to figure it out. You cannot catch it, like you cannot catch it red-handed, or it is not very obvious to catch the contribution of 0. So you have to actually dig down a level deeper and then understand the contribution. Okay. Any other queries coming to your mind? So all of you can actually do that exercise on yourself. So it is also fun to do. It also helps you actually gauge your uh, own performance, life performance as such. You can see what is your own performance, uh, and you can actually increase that performance. You can make it better. So you can actually do that, and maybe I can make a poll or something, very short poll. How many? What is the time of breathing? Let's see if someone responds if you are doing this exercise. And if you respond truthfully, you will see that there is a lot of variation. You will find a lot of variation actually, between, even in your class, different people will have different rates of breathing. Normally you will see that people who are suffering with high pressure, they are having faster breathing rates, and actually the pressure can be controlled if they are consciously taking slower breaths. So that is also a way to control blood pressure, and uh, so by controlling your breathing. And there is a whole set of different breathing exercises which have different impacts on our lives, on our health, and which one can actually do in order to control our breathing. And controlling our breathing has a lot of gives us a lot of control on our own selves. So that is another aspect actually, that these are techniques or exercises which are given in yoga, So they are called pranayams actually. So if anyone has any idea of what pranayams are, they would understand. Otherwise, you can, if you are interested, you can easily Google it out, and you can you can get a general idea of what pranayam is. And there are a lot of different types of pranayams for different things, but the basic thing is control of your breath. And not all pranayams are targeted at slowing your breath, but some are doing something different. But most of the pranayams are targeted, in fact, to have control of your breath, and slowing down your breath is the fundamental thing that you should be actually interested in, even if you're not doing pranayams or anything like that. For your own sake, you can actually try seeing it. Okay, anything else? Otherwise, I guess a chat has come, so it is a personal chat. So let me open in mobile. When anybody run, why he feel lack of air in lungs, and we tire after some running? How to boost our running time? This is like when you run, of course you will feel lack of air in lungs. It depends on your actually breathing capacity. Um, the better you breathe, the longer you will be able to run without feeling this. This is called um, like you feeling the lack of air in your lungs, and this is training also. So if you keep running, the body will understand that what you are doing, and uh, try to make it try to make your processes efficient in order to do this running exercise in an efficient manner. So it will utilize the air during running differently in the muscles. So when you are first running, you may be able to run only a few meters, and then you will get tired. But then you will be able to run, like if you continue doing this exercise, you will be able to run 100 meters, then 200 meters, 500 meters, even a kilometer, and more maybe. So this is practice. So when you are actually throwing your system into some routine, then our system is intelligent enough, our whole body is intelligent enough, our brain actually is intelligent enough in order to uh, make our every process tune in certain way, so that what activity we are doing repeatedly, that does not consume so much energy. So the repeated activity is what you are when you are practicing something in a routine or something like that. So when you are practicing running, so it becomes a routine for you. So when you are doing something in routine, your body or actually your brain will understand that you are doing it every day at this particular time. It will be ready actually for that activity, and it will operate your body in such a way that you are consuming least that the energy the use of energy is happening in a most efficient way. And what is actually breathing is giving the energy. Okay, so by slowing your breath, I am not telling you to not breathe at all. You have to breathe, and we cannot live without breathing. So but slowing our breath means we are making our energy consumption lesser and lesser while delivering the same output. So actually our efficiency is increasing. You have an idea of efficiency, so you can understand this. We are taking lesser input, delivering the same. I am not telling you to deliver more, I am telling you to deliver the same, but reduce your oxygen intake or air intake. So if you can do this by even 1 or 2 counts, then you are increasing your efficiency. That is what happens. So if in any routine activity also, the brain automatically does so. So when you're running for the first time, you will feel aired out, but after a while, after a few days, after a few weeks, after a few months, it will you will not even feel any difference, because your body has adjusted to it. It is able to now understand, and it is able to utilize the energy more efficiently. Another query I have received: emotions affect our breathing rates. For example, when we are angry, we can see our breathing rate increases by a significant amount. We take faster breaths. Converse to it, when we are happy, we take slower breaths. This points to a very important fact actually, which we don't consider so much, because our understanding of energy, activity, etc. are limited to our physical body. And this is also the way that science delivers us the concept of energy, force, action, etc. However, we need to realize that energy also operates in levels which are not physical in nature, like our mental levels. They also consume a lot of energy. You might have experienced, because you have gone through the training of passing joint entrance examination. So even I had prepared for joint at certain time of my life, and even like every now and then you are having these exams, this semester comes, so you are spending a lot of time preparing for it. So you doing any physical activity that time? No, everything is mental activity. But you will notice that when you are doing mental activity, the energy consumption is much more than when you are doing physical activity. You will feel hungry a lot more. You will, maybe if you are not, if you are taking the same amount of food, you will see that you are getting thinner. So this sort of changes you will notice in yourself. If you have not already noticed, you may start noticing it next time when you are giving an exam. So when you started preparation, I don't know if someone can agree with me. It would be better. I have noticed it on myself. So when I used to prepare a lot, or when there is a lot of mental activity going on due to any reason, then the person will will notice the change in their actually in their energy consumption. It takes a lot of energy for any mental process to happen. And I don't know if you have been advised this, but I had seen this advice somewhere. So they advise us to actually increase our sugar input. So normally sugar is termed as bad for our health, but it is a instant energy provider actually. So when we are giving exams, or when we are writing we're preparing for a competitive exam, or there is a lot of mental activity going on for any reason, then the one advice is that you take some sugar additional sugar input in order to provide some energy, because you cannot instantly increase your diet has a limitation. It also depends on our size of stomach, etc. So diet has a certain you cannot increase your diet suddenly. That also will cause some other damage to your system. So but taking in additional sugar, it gets dissolved in our system very easily and gives us a instant energy boost. I don't know if you agree with this thing, but you can notice this from next time onwards. When you are actually giving the exam, if you are preparing a lot, if your whole day is almost your whole day is spent into studies, you will notice the difference it has in your physical body as well. You will actually um, feel like you will get thinner physically. It happens to me, at least I had observed this on myself. I guess the same thing would happen to I have seen this happen to others also. I guess it happens to all of us in a certain degree or the other. So these processes, these mental processes, so consume energy. So the emotions that he is mentioning about anger and all these things. So these emotions, certain emotions have a lot of mental activity going on. Certain emotions have lesser mental activity. So emotions like peacefulness, like love, like happiness. So when you smile, when you are in a comfortable environment, your mentally you are very relaxed. Otherwise, in opposite environments, you are at a certain situation, like maybe when you are not prepared and coming for a viva. So these sort of situations are going to strain your mind. So there is a lot of stress there. So otherwise it is relaxed. So if you are well prepared for a certain situation, you are automatically relaxed. You have a certain degree of relaxedness. If you are not well prepared for a situation and you are going there, you will find yourself to have some nervousness, some stress, some anxiety regarding that situation. So when such, this we can categorize, it is very normal. I don't need to define which are positive emotions and which are negative emotions. I hope you can easily relate. You will never call anger a positive emotion or anxiety a positive emotion, whereas you will call love and peacefulness and as positive emotions. I am very sure that everyone would agree with what we call as positive emotions and negative emotions. So when we are actually involved in negative emotions, we are actually burning a lot of energy within ourselves, and it requires instant supply of energy. So automatically our breathing rate increases. There is also another way to relax ourselves, which is the other way. So this is the breathing rate and the and our emotions, they are linked as such. So if your emotions are having a turmoil, your breathing rate will also have a turmoil. But if you have a control on your breathing, then with the help of breathing slower and slower, you can actually relax yourself, your emotions also. So this is how you can actually have a control of your emotions using control of your breath. These two are linked. This is in experience. The one doesn't have a scientific validation of it. Perhaps there will never be. But this is in experience. One can easily understand this. And if you experience it yourself, you will also understand that if you breathe slowly, you will face a lot of less stress in your emotions. So your emotions will be stable. Of course, you will feel angry at certain instants, you will feel anxiety. These things doesn't go just like that. It takes a lot of practice in order to make our emotions at a certain level, so that we never feel angry or never feel anxious, like that thing happens. But you will see that your anxiety, your anger, your hatred, all these negative emotions have reduced a lot if you start breathing slowly. So that is the psychological effect that happens. So I was only talking about the physical health benefits, but this comment from the student has brought out the psychological benefits. This is also true. Psychological benefits also happen with the help of slow breathing. That is all you need to practice. And slow breathing has a complete, actually it is a complete set of practices. In pranayams it is described how to do it. There is a body of knowledge on this, so one can utilize that. So pranayams are very easily available in YouTube. You can look into different pranayams. If you are really interested and you want to take my advice, the one pranayam, if you have to do only one pranayam, the one pranayam that you should do is Anulom Vilom pranayam. It is also termed as Nari Shuddhi. However, the Nari Shuddhi that Sadguru is showing nowadays is not Anulom Vilom pranayam. You should do the Anulom Vilom pranayam. Look into that. It is the alternate nostril breathing. It is also termed as alternate nostril breathing. You breathe through one nostril and then let out, you exhale with another nostril, and then you again inhale with that nostril and exhale with the other nostril. Like that it happens. So if you look into Anulom Vilom pranayam, you will have an understanding how to do it. And if you are really interested, you should do this pranayam. If there is one pranayam you should do this pranayam. Then you can add on other pranayams if you are feeling interested to go ahead with these practices. Okay, anything else? There was a good lot of discussion thanks to some comments which has come to me in my chat. So if there are no more thing to discuss, then probably we can end our session now, and do that exercise on yourself. Note how long you take to complete 10 rounds of breathing. You note that. Probably I will put up a poll maybe, and I will also say how long I take to take 10 rounds of breathing. So that will be fun. Okay, so goodbye for now, and meet again on Thursday. If you have any doubts regarding anything that has been taught till now, you can send me the doubts, and again we will have a conversation on Thursday. So thank you. I am closing the meeting now.